In the depths of the night, when the world falls silent and dreams begin to weave their mysterious threads, a secret door opens before you, the gateway to your greatest creative power. While your conscious mind rests, your subconscious never stops working, shaping your destiny, attracting opportunities, solving problems, and manifesting realities. This text, inspired by the timeless teachings of Joseph Murphy, will reveal to you the night method, a simple yet powerful practice that transforms your hours of rest into the divine workshop of creation. Here you will discover how to program your mind before sleep, so that the entire universe conspires in your favor while you close your eyes. Get ready for a journey where the boundary between waking and dreaming dissolves, giving rise to a sacred space where your thoughts become facts, your desires become realities, and your dreams awaken into your new life. Because sleep will no longer just be rest, it will be creation. The night is not a meaningless pause, it is a divine laboratory. When your eyes close, your subjective mind takes command and works tirelessly. There, the next day is forged. The last thought is the command. The final image is the mold. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls upon men, he opens the ears of men and seals their instruction. Job 33:15-16. Psychologically, the state before sleep is a bridge between your conscious mind and the infinite. Whatever you deposit on that threshold becomes experience. I have seen men and women transform their destiny by using this nightly window. A ruined merchant began to fall asleep, seeing his shop in order and customers satisfied. Within a month, former contacts reappeared with clean proposals. A mother who lived in constant anxiety began each night sewing the image of her children in peace. Quarrels ceased, and the atmosphere of the home changed. A sick man who used to dwell on his pain replaced his complaints with a simple image, warm light flowing through his body. His spirit grew calm and his body obeyed. There was no magic, there was law. According to your faith it shall be done. It is a mental law. What is accepted with emotion before sleep, the mind reproduces without censorship. Your part is simple. You clear the workbench of the day, choose one noble idea, wrap it in the feeling of fulfillment, and hand it over to rest. Like the farmer who sows and does not dig up the seed, you release anxiety. The subconscious knows the how, you specify the what. This book teaches you how to use that creative silence. You will see short techniques, practical cases, biblical passages explained in mental language, and a step-by-step method so that each night becomes conscious sowing, and each morning a faithful harvest. Do not seek dramatic effort, seek rhythm. Consistency is the secret. End each day with a simple key. Repeat softly, as one signs a receipt already paid. Thank you, Father, for this day. Your wisdom orders my sleep. Everything within me rests in peace. Tomorrow I awaken, guided, healthy, and prosperous in divine order. Thank you, for so it is. Now enter the silence. There your word is law, there your day is formed. The nightly sowing, based on the teachings of Joseph Murphy. We have noticed that more than 80% of those who visit our channel are not subscribed. You can support this project by pressing the subscribe button and giving the video a like. Thank you for inspiring us to continue creating more and better content for you. Are you ready to transform your life? Chapter 1. The Invisible Government of the Night. In the vast orchestra of life, the night is the moment when the conductor steps down from the visible podium and allows the music to continue under the silent baton of a hidden intelligence. Many believe that when we sleep everything stops, that the body rests, that the mind falls silent. Not so. When your eyelids close and your breathing deepens, a part of you, the subjective mind, takes command. It is the invisible government that never sleeps, that watches over you, that works without pause, and that continues building upon the foundations you yourself laid with your conscious thought during the day. Your subjective mind is the workshop where tomorrow's circumstances are forged. The philosopher Plotinus spoke of the tower of the mind, a sanctuary inaccessible to the noise of the world, where ideas are conceived in purity, untainted by fear or doubt. That tower is your mental state before sleep. If you enter it carrying noble images, you will reap noble fruits tomorrow. But if you lie down burdened with anger or worry, you will hand the invisible potter a distorted mold, and he, faithful to his law, will return to you the same figure made real. Scripture declares, In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls upon men while they slumber on their beds, then he opens the ears of men and seals their instruction. Job 33:15-16. Here a mental law is revealed to us. While you sleep, the instruction is imprinted upon your deeper being, an instruction that determines your behavior, your reactions, and the events of the coming day. This is not poetry nor superstition. It is an observation of the dynamics of the mind. I have advised businessmen to imagine each night, before sleeping, their offices filled with satisfied clients and signed contracts. One of them, bankrupt and discouraged, began practicing this simple method of nightly vision for 20 minutes before bed. He saw himself signing agreements, receiving payments, bidding farewell to happy employees. Within a few weeks, people he had not seen in years began seeking him out with offers of work and collaboration. The mold had been delivered, and the subjective mind, like a diligent nocturnal architect, built the work. Imagination before sleep is like fresh ink the scribe pours upon the parchment of your subconscious. That stroke, still invisible to the physical eye, will tomorrow be a written decree in reality. That is why you must turn the hour before sleep into a sacred act. Just as a priest does not ascend the altar with stained hands, you must not go to bed with thoughts of defeat or resentment. Now visualize with me an exercise that has transformed lives. Close your eyes and enter your inner chamber. Imagine a circular room softly illuminated, its walls covered with tapestries depicting scenes of peace, health, abundance, and love. No unworthy image may enter there. If any memory of the day tries to slip in with its shadow, shut the door to it, declaring, "You have no place here." Remain for a few moments, contemplating only those images you would wish to see blossom in your life. A young man tormented by insomnia once came to me in despair. Each night, when he turned off the light, his mind filled with worries, debts, family quarrels, fear of dismissal. I taught him to replace those thoughts with the vision of a garden at dawn, where he watered plants and listened to the birds singing. Each time a worry appeared, he returned to his garden, touched the leaves, smelled the flowers, felt the dew upon his hands. Within 3 nights his insomnia vanished. Within 3 weeks his problems began to resolve in unexpected ways. You, reader, must understand that the subjective mind does not reason, does not argue, does not judge whether what you give it is good or bad. It is a perfect servant. It executes the order you deliver with your last conscious thought before sleep. That last thought is the seal of the day and the seed of the next. The invisible government of the night is incorruptible. You cannot bribe it with empty words, but you can guide it with images and feelings charged with conviction. Just as the farmer cannot change the nature of the seed once it is sown, you cannot expect fruits of peace if you sow fear at nightfall. The law is simple. According to your faith it shall be done. Make this practice your habit. Every night, enter your inner chamber, contemplate only noble images, and utter a brief prayer of gratitude. Thank you, Father, because tonight I sow in peace and reap in joy. Then rest, knowing that the invisible government is working for you, and that while your body sleeps, your destiny is being written with the perfect calligraphy of the mental law. Chapter 2, The Last Thought. Seal of the Day. The last thought that crosses the threshold of your consciousness before sleep is the command your subconscious mind receives as the final decree of the day. It does not matter what you may have lived through during the day. The last mental image, the last phrase, the last emotion will be the pattern that your subjective mind imprints in its invisible workshop to reproduce faithfully at dawn. If you understand this, you will realize that every night you hold a private audience with the architect of your destiny. That moment is not trivial, nor is it a mere formality to close your eyes. It is the hour when you present the definitive blueprints of what you want to see built in your life. A careless mind goes to bed with the open wound of arguments, the frustration of failed business, the bitterness of old grievances, and then is surprised the next morning to find the same moods waiting at the door of consciousness. A merchant once confessed to me, "Doctor, I don't know why I wake up in a bad mood, with no desire for anything. I go to bed worried about sales and wake up the same, or worse." I explained that the subconscious mind does not argue, nor filter, nor interpret, it only obeys. If your last word before sleeping is worry, your night mind will work to create the conditions that justify that state. I gave him a simple instruction. Before bed, softly repeat 3 times this phrase with certainty. Tomorrow I awaken renewed, joyful, and prosperous. And I told him to repeat it calmly, as one hums a familiar melody. 2 weeks later, he called me. I wake up in a different state of mind, and the curious thing is that my clients seem friendlier too. It was not curiosity. It was law. Just as the last bite of food leaves its taste in the mouth, the last thought leaves its flavor in the soul, and that flavor will permeate the following day. For this reason, the psalmists in their wisdom recommended feeding the heart with words of peace at nightfall. I suggest you adopt as your last mental food a brief passage such as this. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Psalm 4:8. Do not recite it mechanically. Feel it as a child who falls asleep secure in the arms of his father. I recall the case of a woman who had spent years trying to quit smoking. She tried costly methods and various therapies, but every morning, as soon as she opened her eyes, she reached for a cigarette. We discovered that as she went to sleep, her last thoughts revolved around her weakness and fear of relapse. I asked her instead to see herself at bedtime already free, breathing pure air with clean lungs, enjoying the freshness of a dawn in the countryside. To seal the image, she repeated, I am free and I breathe life. After a month, she told me, Doctor, one day I realized I had gone 3 mornings without smoking. I had made no effort. It simply wasn't in my script anymore. The last thought had changed the pattern. I have seen marriages in crisis transformed when one of the spouses, instead of falling asleep replaying grievances, began to visualize their partner smiling, sharing a moment of affection. The subconscious, receiving that scene as true, began to shape the reactions and words of both so that they matched the image sown. The seed phrase is a simple instrument, but its effectiveness lies in the fact that it condenses the central idea you wish to imprint, wraps it in emotion, and delivers it just as the conscious mind withdraws. It must be brief, affirmative in the present, and charged with certainty. Do not say, I hope I feel better tomorrow. Say, tomorrow is a blessed day. Do not say, maybe I will find a solution. Say, my solution arrives in divine order. Repeat it 3 times calmly and effortlessly, as one deposits a letter into a secure mailbox. The last thought is like the signature at the bottom of a contract. You may have written pages throughout the day, but if at the end you sign with resentment, fear, or doubt, that will be the spirit that governs the document. That is why you must reserve your signature for peace, for faith, for anticipated joy. And when you awaken, receive with gratitude what you sowed. Make this principle your nightly habit, and you will see how each morning becomes the faithful harvest of the seed you yourself planted with the seal of your last thought. Chapter 3. The Law of Nightly Sowing. The soil does not distinguish between the seed of wheat and that of the weed. It receives both with the same hospitality and makes them grow according to their kind. So too does your subconscious mind, that inner field that never rests. It accepts the ideas you plant within it without debating their moral value or practical use. If you sow thoughts of peace, you will reap serenity. If you sow images of failure, you will gather setbacks. This is the agricultural law transferred to the mental plane. The master expressed it with simplicity and power. According to your faith, it shall be done. And faith is not a vague feeling, but the inner conviction with which you imprint upon your mind an image or an affirmation. What your heart accepts as true, your subconscious will treat as a command. It will work on it through the night and present it in your daily experience. When the farmer sows, he does not return to the field to dig up the seed and check if it is germinating. He trusts in the law of life. In the same way, you must not go to bed with the anxiety of wondering whether your thought will work. Once the idea is sown, release it and rest. Mental restlessness is like stirring the soil every hour. It prevents the seed from taking root. A woman who had lost her job once came to me for help. Her greatest mistake was going to bed replaying every detail of her dismissal, filled with feelings of injustice and fear. I taught her to practice the short film technique before sleep. For 60 seconds, she was to visualize a clear scene, herself receiving a letter of acceptance for a new position, smiling with relief. She was not to include tension, nor imagine struggles or explanations, only the final result pure and fulfilled. Before closing her eyes, she recited Psalm 4:8. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. In less than a month, she received an offer that surpassed her previous salary. The short film is effective because it condenses the desire into a pure image and delivers it at the very moment when the conscious mind withdraws, leaving the door open for the subconscious to receive it without resistance. That image acts as a complete seed. It contains the beginning, the development, and the harvest in a single vision. I've also known cases where this law worked in the opposite direction, bringing harm when people unknowingly sowed seeds of worry. A man who feared losing an important contract fell asleep each night, imagining the phone call that confirmed his loss. Soon enough, that call arrived. It was neither witchcraft nor coincidence. It was the law of nightly sowing operating with unyielding accuracy. That is why each night you must ask yourself, what seed am I planting today in the field of my subconscious? Do not leave that sowing to chance. The prudent farmer carefully selects the seed before sowing. You must do the same with the images and phrases you allow into your mind in the last minutes before sleep. The moment of going to bed is the spiritual equivalent of the sowing season. If you understand this, you will treat every night as a sacred act. Gather your scattered thoughts, choose the image or phrase that embodies your fulfilled desire, and plant it in the fertile soil of your subconscious. Then cover it with the mantle of peace and trust. Always remember, the soil never fails to produce according to the seed. Your subconscious mind never fails to reproduce what it receives in faith. What you sow, that you shall reap. Chapter 4. Sensory language for the subconscious. The subconscious mind does not reason like your conscious mind. It does not understand logical arguments, intellectual debates, or lengthy explanations. Its language is more primitive, yet deeper. It is the language of images, sensations, and emotions experienced as if they were real. For the subconscious, what you see, hear, touch, smell, or taste in your inner world carries the same weight as what you experience in the outer world. That is why, if you want to communicate effectively with your subconscious before sleep, it is not enough to simply say, I want health or I desire prosperity. You must show it, make it feel it, wrap it in colors, sounds, textures, and above all, in the emotion of already possessing it. The subconscious is like a child who responds more to a vivid story than to an abstract sermon. I recall the case of a man suffering from an ulcer that did not respond to medical treatment. I taught him to use the exercise of the perfect scene. Before sleeping, he was to sit comfortably, close his eyes, and take 3 deep breaths. Then, he had to see himself walking along the shore of a lake on a bright morning, with a firm step, feeling the breeze on his face and the warmth of the sun on his skin. In that scene, his stomach was completely healthy. He could eat with appetite, laugh heartily, and enjoy a normal life. I asked him to notice the sound of the gentle waves, the fresh smell of the water, and the solid feeling of the ground beneath his feet. He was not to think of healing, but to live in that scene as if he were already healed. 6 weeks later, he wrote to me saying the ulcer had disappeared, confirmed by his doctor. What had happened? He had spoken to the subconscious in its language, clear images, physical sensations, and positive emotions. And when you build your perfect scene, activate the 5 senses: sight, colors, shapes, faces, hearing, voices, music, sounds of nature, touch, textures, temperature, pressure, smell, familiar or pleasant aromas, taste, the flavor of food, cool water, steaming coffee, but above all, saturate the scene with the emotion of fulfillment already achieved. If you seek prosperity, feel yourself already in possession of it. Hear the congratulations in your mind, feel the handshake, see the acquired object or the received letter. If you seek health, experience the joy of moving freely, breathing deeply without pain, laughing without effort. This sensory language, practiced in the minutes before sleep, imprints itself upon your subconscious with indelible force. It is not mere fantasy, it is an instruction. And as we have already seen, the subjective mind always obeys without censorship, working silently to align your external experience with the scene it accepted as real. Make the perfect scene your nightly ritual. 1 or 2 minutes are enough to fix it, provided you live it with intensity. Breathe deeply, let the image complete itself, and then surrender it to rest. Once the subconscious receives it, it begins its invisible labor, and you awaken closer to the harvest you planted in that brief but sacred interval. Chapter 5. Neutralizing mental noise. The mind, like any workshop, accumulates dust and shavings throughout the day. At the end of the day, if you do not clean your workbench, the remnants of thought pile up, hinder your work, and mix with the tasks of the following day. Some believe they can sleep above their worries, like someone pushing a pile of papers aside to make space on the table. But the subconscious does not sweep on its own. It receives everything you leave on the surface, stores it, and processes it while you sleep. Going to bed with a mental load is one of the most common and costly mistakes for your mental life. The man who falls asleep reviewing an argument will multiply arguments. The woman who goes to bed fearing a debt will awaken with more reasons to fear it. The subjective mind is like the soil. The last thing it receives it accepts and makes grow without asking whether you wanted that seed or not. A prudent carpenter, at the end of his day, puts away his tools, cleans his workbench, organizes the wood, and closes the door. He does not leave the saw on the floor or the workshop covered in sawdust. He understands that tomorrow, to work well, he must find an orderly space. So must you act with your mind before sleeping. Gather the tools of your thoughts, organize the pieces, discard what is useless, and close the mental workshop so that the night becomes a time for creation, not chaos. I will now give you a simple and effective method to clean your mind before entering sleep. 1. The surrender prayer. Sit on your bed with a straight back and relaxed shoulders. Close your eyes and softly say, "I surrender this day to divine wisdom." Speak it with full intention, as if delivering a package to a trustworthy messenger. Repeat this phrase 3 times slowly, imagining as you do that all you have lived, pleasant and difficult alike, dissolves into a golden light that rises and disappears into infinity. 2. The 4-4-4 breathing. Inhale deeply, counting mentally to 4. Hold the air for 4 counts and exhale for 4 counts. Repeat at least 5 cycles. This rhythm regulates your nervous system, calms mental waves, and brings you to a state where the subconscious is more receptive to the peace you offer. 3. Nighttime mental nourishment. Take the Bible and read slowly, savoring each word. A passage from Proverbs 3:24-26. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. Your sleep will be pleasant. Do not fear sudden terror or the ruin of the wicked when it comes, for the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. Do not read it as if reciting a formula, but as one drinks fresh water after a hot day. This triple exercise, surrender, breathing, mental nourishment, cleans your inner workshop. A middle-aged woman suffering from nightmares confessed that every night she went to bed reviewing the day's negatives. I asked her to practice this method for 21 nights. By the 3rd night, her dreams became calm. By the 10th, she began waking with creative ideas to solve her problems. At the end of the cycle, her entire character had calmed. Do you understand this? It is impossible to plant seeds of peace on soil overrun with weeds. First, it must be cleaned, then sown. If at night you clean your mind with the same diligence a carpenter uses to put away his tools, your subconscious will work free from interference and return to you in the morning a day built on order and clarity. Make nightly mental cleaning a habit, and you will discover that there is no greater gift than surrendering to sleep with a clear mind and a soul resting in divine wisdom. Chapter 6. The creative review of the day. The day ends, but its trace does not. Every conversation, every gesture, every shock leaves a groove in your subjective mind. That groove is a mold, and tomorrow you will move within it as water runs through the channel that habit has carved. This is where the grace of the night intervenes. The night is your workshop of correction. The night is the silent operating room where, without scalpel or pain, you can reshape what went wrong and restore harmony to your nervous system and your destiny. You are not a slave to raw memory. You are the owner of the projector that displays it. If today contained unpleasant scenes, do not seal them with resignation. Review them. Your subconscious mind is not historical. It is literal and present. What you give it now as image and emotion, it takes as true. Therefore, you decide what will be true, what your creative repository, thus I call your deep mind, will preserve while you sleep. The mental law is simple and its effectiveness is constant. Your subjective mind faithfully reproduces the dominant image it receives. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he, says Scripture, Proverbs 23:7. And this is not a pious phrase, it is a psychological diagnosis. What you feel as true inside manifests in habits, reflexes, words, and circumstances. The creative review leverages this law. What do? You take a scene that occurred unpleasantly and mentally redo it as you would have wanted it to happen. Do not analyze, argue, or make excuses. Correct it. Present your subconscious with a new, tension-free version, charged with peace, and seal it as definitive. When you sleep, your deep mind archives this corrected version. At dawn, it guides your reactions, tone of voice, decisions, and even the day's circumstances according to the revised plan. Internal correction erases the negative pattern and programs another. Ask yourself honestly, do you want today's rough scene to become tomorrow's script? Do you wish to repeat the discomfort, the clumsiness, the harsh word, the haughty glance? No? Then apply this rule. No CEO ends the day without passing through the editing room first. The inner screen is your ally. Use it. If you went to bed carrying the day without review, you would be like a carpenter leaving the workshop with shavings and nails on the floor. Tomorrow he would stumble over his own negligence. Order, clean, correct, close the workbench with spiritual precision. Now the simple, practical, safe method. Sit on your bed or a comfortable chair. Dim the room's light and turn on the light of your attention. Breathe deeply 2 or 3 times and whisper, "I am at peace. My mind obeys." Go through the day backward like pulling a rope to gather its knots. Stop at an unpleasant scene, only one. Do not try to fix everything in one night. The law works better with the precision of a surgeon than with the chaos of a market. Freeze the scene like a still frame. Observe the elements, the place, the voices, the gestures, your posture, the phrase that hurt. Now gently change it as it should have correctly happened. Your voice is calm. The other responds with understanding. The tension dissolves. Everything ends in harmony. Change the music, the gesture, the word. Just correct, do not justify. Feel the relief. Now savor the taste of a proper closure. See the smile. Hear the thank you. Feel the handshake. Allow your body to record peace as a completed fact. I give you the exercise of triple repetition. Repetition fixes the mold. There is a deep reason for this. The Bible teaches that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every matter shall be established. Deuteronomy 19:15. The deep mind requires internal witnesses. Each repetition is a witness confirming the corrected scene as true. Project the new version 3 times. Do not rush. Go through the scene at the same pace, with the same noble details, with the same feeling of relief. The first repetition loosens the knot, the second unties it, the third seals it. When finished, do not return to the rough version. Do not stir it as one would reopen a wound. Stay with the sweet one. Then pronounce slowly with authority, "Thus it has been in the divine order." This is the signature at the bottom of the new document. That phrase, brief as it seems, is a decree in terms of mental law. It declares that the new pattern is incorporated into the order of your life. Then sleep. Trust. Let the invisible government of the night do its part. A case among many. A schoolteacher came to me with a heavy heart. "I've lost the respect of a restless student," he said. "Today he disrespected me in front of the class. I responded harshly. I regret it, but I fear tomorrow will be worse." I instructed him in creative review. He chose the scene and changed it. He saw himself firm yet kind, calling the student by name, acknowledging last week's good work, asking for support in organizing the class. The student relaxed, even cooperated. He repeated the scene 3 times and sealed it. Thus it has been in the divine order. The next day, before class began, the boy approached and said, without a sermon, "Sir, today I'll help with the group." Coincidence? No, law coherence. The teacher's mind had stopped emitting silent aggression. The young student responded to the new signal. People unconsciously pick up the vibration of our dominant images. Another testimony. A mother anguished over conflicts with her teenage daughter. Every afternoon ended in reproach. Every night in tears. I taught her the method. She took a scene from a kitchen argument where dishes clashed like war bells. She reviewed it, saw herself listening, touched her daughter's hand, spoke a brief warm phrase, "I trust you." In the corrected scene, the teenager relaxed, breathed, smiled. The mother repeated this perfect minute 3 times and signed, "Thus it has been in the divine order." Within a week, confrontations dropped drastically. Most importantly, the mother found herself responding as in her mental rehearsal, with pause, contact, and faith. Thus, a relationship is reprogrammed first on the inner screen, then in the kitchen's reality. Remember, creative review does not deny facts, it redeems them. The law does not say, pretend it didn't happen. The law says, correct the pattern your subconscious archives. Like a doctor versus a healer. The healer covers, the doctor cleans and sutures. Your review is mental antiseptic. It disinfects the wound of memory and closes it with a fine stitch. Do not conform to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Romans 12:2. Psychologically translated, do not be shaped by the first impulse. Renew the mold in your mind, and behavior will follow. A salesman, tired of hearing no, fell asleep muttering humiliations. We began the review. He took the last failed interview and replaced it with a brief scene of courteous closure. The client shook his hand and said, let's do it. 3 passes. The emotion of accomplishment, the signature. Thus it has been in the divine order. In 10 days, his quota changed. Doctor, I don't know if people changed or I did, he told me. I know. The pattern changed. The subjective mind directed his posture, his gaze, his voice, his ability to reach the right people, and the external world, always a mirror, reflected that new conviction. An explosive temper man recognized himself anew. I flare up without thinking, he confessed. Every night for 21 days, he took a scene where he had raised his voice and reimagined responding calmly, like a captain holding the helm in a storm. 3 repetitions, divine closure, sleep. By the 3rd week, his wife said, I don't know what you did, but you're a different man. He had done the simplest, most powerful thing, rehearsed the noble version of himself at night. The subconscious, which does not censor but learns, turned rehearsal into action. 9 out of 10 who practice this simple memory surgery consistently achieve similar results. A warning of great value: do not review with guilt. Guilt is acid that corrodes. Review is balm that heals. Do not say, how clumsy I am. That is old, bitter medicine. Say, I correct, I learn, I give thanks. Enter your inner chamber as a pharmacist enters the laboratory, cleanly and precisely. Take just the right vials, measure carefully, mix wisely, deliver the exact formula to the organism. Creative review is a formula. Respect it and act without dramatics. If a shadow arises while repeating the scene, return gently to the noble frame. The subconscious learns by habit. Your persistent gentleness is more effective than tense haste. It is helpful to combine review with brief verbal hygiene. After the 3rd projection and final seal, add in a low voice, peace, order, and love govern my mind and my affairs. This affirmation acts as a dressing, protecting the freshly healed wound, so it does not get infected with agitation from the memory. If your heart still races, breathe 4 or 3 cycles. You will see how the body's pulse aligns with the soul's. Then yes, surrender the day. I will lie down in peace and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Psalm 4:8. Observe the psychological sense of this verse. It declares peace, mental state, restful sleep, physiological relaxation and trust. It is the night's nourishment that ensures fertile ground for the corrected seed. You may ask, and if the other person doesn't change? I answer from experience. The first thing that changes is your vibration, and that changes your interaction and your luck. Sometimes the other person resists, sometimes steps aside, but invariably your tomorrow changes. I have seen it in offices, homes, workshops, and pulpits. The mind that reviews stops being a victim of its reflexes and becomes the conscious captain of its day. Review is not evasion, it is direction. Do not flee the fact. Guide its meaning in yourself. When meaning changes, the chain of causes and effects adjusts its course. Use the principle of spiritual economy, 1 scene per night. If you doubt between 2, choose the one whose correction would bring the most peace. Tomorrow, correct another. In a few nights, you will marvel at the cleanliness you feel upon waking. You will rise with memory uncluttered, your tongue free of thorns, your gesture available for kindness. This is a sign that the law is working on old patterns. Those that made you stumble over the same stone are now archived in the folder of the past, powerless to govern your present. Do not forget the order of the procedure. Select a scene, convert it into a noble, fulfilled frame, project it 3 times with serene emotion, sign with the phrase, "Thus it has been in the divine order." Sleep in peace. The signature is essential. It is the seal that turns an image into a decree. By saying, "Thus it has been," your conscious mind cedes authority to the subconscious, the scribe of destiny. When the scribe records, the eternal universe obeys. Be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Ephesians 4:23. That is what you do. To renew the spirit of your mind is to change the internal climate, and the internal climate determines the harvest. To conclude the parable of the potter, a man contemplated a misshapen vessel. He did not throw it into the fire of his displeasure. He reworked the clay, centered it on the wheel, corrected the curve, smoothed the wall, opened the hollow with his thumb and left it to rest. By morning it was ready for the kiln that strengthens. This is how review works. Re-knead the clay of your day, center it, correct the curve, open the hollow for peace and intelligence, leave it on the night table, and at sunrise, the sun's kiln makes it firm. Your word is law for your mind. Your image is a model for your destiny. Use this law with humility and consistency, and you will see the scenes of your life begin to speak the language of divine order. Remember these truths as you close this chapter. Memory is not a tyrant, it is a servant. You decide which version to archive. What you review with love stops bleeding. What you correct with faith becomes habit. What you seal with "thus it has been in the divine order" enters the circuit of providence. Tonight practice. Do not let old thought close your day. Sow the noble version. Repeat 3 times. Sign. Sleep. And tomorrow, when light touches your face, you will go out to harvest what you wisely planted during the night. Peace, power, and prosperity will accompany you. Chapter 7. Sleep as advisor. Sleep is not a blind pause in which life shuts down. It is a private counsel with the intelligence that dwells within you. When your senses withdraw and the objective mind loosens its reins, the subjective mind, your creative reservoir, receives the question you present, examines it with the light that never dims, and returns to you at dawn the guidance you need. This is a law. If you plant a clear question at nightfall, you harvest direction in the morning. In nocturnal vision, when sleep falls upon men, it opens their ears and provides instruction. Job 33:15-16. Scripture does not describe superstition. It states a mental procedure that has always worked. Your part is to ask with faith. The role of your subconscious is to answer with wisdom. It is important to establish the principle. Your conscious mind chooses the what. Your subconscious mind knows the how. Your reason proposes, and your creative reservoir supplies invisible means. When you hold confusion and go to bed in debate, your dreams fill with broken images. When you gather yourself, formulate the question, calm down, and trust, you deliver a clean file to the inner advisor. Remember the word deliver. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. Proverbs 3:5-6. Translated into mental law, suspend the struggle, formulate the question, recognize the authority of the center, and the path straightens. How to request guidance and receive an answer. Give your night an exact prescription, as a pharmacist would measure drops, no more, no less. I propose a method tested by thousands of radio listeners, readers, and patients who came with questions about work, health, relationships, or money. One brief preparation: turn off the day's noise. You already know how to clear your workbench. Surrender and breathe. Sit on your bed, back straight, shoulders relaxed. 2 or 3 deep 4-4-4 breaths are enough to bring your system into receptive calm. 2. Simple case writing. Name it plainly. I need to know whether to accept this proposal or not. I need the best way to resolve this debt. I need the right words to speak to my child. Do not beg. Declare. Tone matters. A complaining soul delivers confusion. A soul that asks with authority delivers a request. Clear. 3. Question prayer. Say quietly 3 times with silent intervals, "Show me the wisest answer." Between repetitions, listen. Do not push. Let the phrase descend like a drop soaking into cotton. Sometimes add, "Thank you because my subconscious knows the how." It is a safe, broad-spectrum medicine that directs, calms, and establishes divine order in your request. 4. The brief movie. For 60 seconds, imagine the fact fulfilled in its simplest form. If you waver between 2 paths, do not make 2 movies. Make one of the final state. See yourself at peace, smiling with the pleasant feeling of having chosen well. Avoid dialogue and struggle. Offer the subconscious a clean result, free of tension. The emotion of peace is the seal. 5. Deliver and sleep. Close with a gentle affirmation. The answer comes to me clear and precise. Do not seek the answer anxiously. Let go of the helm. The helm remains in the hands of the inner pilot during the night. Now the instrument that turns fleeting impressions into usable daylight. A notebook on your bedside table. From today, place a notebook and pen within reach. Upon waking, do not leap from bed or look at the clock. Stay still. That minute of stillness is pure gold. The fibers of sleep are still moist. If you move abruptly, they evaporate. Ask in a very low voice, what is the idea? What is the word? What is the image? Take the first simple impression and write it without censorship. Sometimes it will be a phrase, other times a figure, a bridge, a door, a hand opening, or a specific emotion. Lightness in thinking, yes. Heaviness, no. Write key words. Do not draft essays at dawn. Note seeds. Later upon review, you will see that the seed carries the tree within it. How to recognize the answer in the morning. There are signs that never fail. The true answer arrives with peace. It does not carry nervous haste. It brings simplicity. Do not tangle yourself in 10 conditions. It produces a vital sensation in the plexus. It does not demand you be someone else to begin. And it repeats. It appears as an idea upon waking, returns in casual conversation, reappears in a reading, and confirms itself through a small door that opens without force. Your ears will hear a word behind you. This is the way, walk in it. Isaiah 30:21. True guidance speaks this way. It does not shout from behind. It orients. Historical examples confirm this nocturnal ministry, not out of curiosity, but as evidence of the law. Frivusque Cule, a chemist, recounted that one night in Dormabella, he saw a snake biting its tail. Upon waking, he understood the cyclic structure of benzene. One image solved a problem his reason could not. Elijah, stubborn in perfecting the sewing machine, dreamt of men wielding spears with a hole near the tip. He awoke with the idea to place the needle's eye at the tip, and his invention came to life. Dmitri Mendeleev confessed that the periodic table was ordered for him in a dream. Robert Louis Stevenson wrote, "While I sleep, little helpers work for me," attributing many plots of his stories to those hours. Notice the pattern. Sustained question plus nocturnal delivery equals elevated illumination. The conscious mind seeks the subjective. Now I offer clinical and listener cases you can replicate. A merchant faced 2 proposals, partner with a man of dubious character but abundant capital, or wait for a slower opportunity with an honest colleague. We prayed together. Question prayer. Show me the wisest answer. I requested the brief movie of the final state, walking lightly, greeting satisfied clients, the register orderly, the safe calm. 3 nights in a row, he recorded the same upon waking. Clean door, freshly ploughed field. On the 4th morning, without dreaming scenes, he awoke with silent certainty for the honest partner. He rejected the rush of easy money. 6 months later, his business grew steadily without surprises. Nocturnal delivery had set the helm in the right direction. A woman sought the right phrase to reconcile with her sister. Daytime attempts ended in reproach. We followed the prescription. Question, brief movie, notebook. On the 3rd morning, she wrote 3 words. Forgive me for my hardness. She acknowledged it within herself. Hardness was her part. She practiced saying it in front of the mirror until she felt peace. That afternoon, she spoke the phrase plainly. Tears did the rest. The answer arrived wrapped in humility. Sleep had advised the tone and order. First, recognize your own hardness, then propose an encounter. 2 weeks later, she wrote, We slept peacefully for the first time in years. The nocturnal advisor knows that form is also substance. A young engineer could not solve a structure that vibrated dangerously. Days of calculations, corrections, and frustration. I asked him to release the effort, ask, and see himself resting with the problem resolved. Not the how, but the result. On the 3rd night, he awoke from a dream in which he touched a metal rod and felt that adding a rib at an angle stabilized everything. He noted the angle and rib and the relief in the sound. At the workshop, the vibration subsided. The answer came with an auditory relief sensation. The subconscious speaks in sensations. A health case, a man with recurring ulcers said, Medicines help, but I relapse. I explained the moral dimension. unresolved resentment. Before sleeping, he formulated, "Show me the wisest answer for my healing." 2 nights he clearly saw his brother-in-law's face and an old gesture that had hurt him. Did he understand? Forgive. He saw himself letting go, repeating, "I release you and release myself." That week his pain decreased notably. The doctor adjusted treatment and the condition resolved. Sleep gave the causal key. Medicine, a faithful ally, did the rest. God heals through the law and uses both ideas and instruments. You might ask, what if I remember nothing? Take this as a golden rule. If no image arises, a new disposition does. Sometimes the answer does not descend as a movie, but as a first thought upon waking, simple and direct, or as an impulse to restore order. Tidy a drawer, make a call, check a document. Obey the small because the small opens the big. If nothing comes the first night, do not declare, "It will not work." Declare, "I am being guided, even if my conscious mind does not notice." Persevere 3, 7, or 21 nights. Each repetition is like watering the soil. The one who goes out weeping, carrying the seed, returns with joy, bringing sheaves. Psalm 126. Plant the question with gentleness, harvest the answer with joy. Difference between answer and residue. The answer brings clarity. Residue brings confusion. The answer is sober. Residue is extravagant. The answer is remembered in simple blocks. Residue disperses in disconnected scenes. The answer makes you better. Residue leaves you unchanged. If a dream provokes sharp fear, discard it as mental indigestion. Return to your prayer, question, and declare, "I reject what does not come from divine order. I receive only the wise answer." Your mind is a laboratory. Maintain hygiene. To aid recognition, use the triple test upon waking. Inner peace, external repetition, coinciding signs, ease of passage. Doors open without force, and if 2 of 3 occur, act. If only 1, wait and repeat the question that night. Patience is also faith. The sea respects the pilot who waits for the tide. The notebook technique deserves one more detail. Record dates and leave space for confirmations. At the end of the week, review. You will see a thread of direction. That thread is your compass. Many say, "Father, now I see that guidance was already coming, but I lived with the radio loud." Lowering the volume of the world is a prerequisite for guidance. A practical tip: get used to waking 10 minutes earlier. These are not 10 wasted minutes, but 10 sown minutes. The compound interest of that mental investment is extraordinary. Ernest Holmes, a New Thought sage, reminds us, there is a mind to which all can turn and from which all can receive. Enter it through the door of sleep and emerge with bread in hand. Remember, as Met Fox emphasizes the simplicity of spiritual means, the law works through clear ideas, repeated with faith. Do not disdain the simple. The subconscious understands the simple. A medicinal warning: do not mix prayer with haste. Hurry is a toxin that inhibits absorption. Your dose is clear. 3 repetitions of the prayer, question, brief movie, notebook ready, confident delivery. Do not add easy or converse with your fears on the pillow. In pharmacies, the exact dose heals. Excess confuses. Spiritual agriculture summarizes it. Plant the question, water with peace, sleep, harvest guidance. Do not peek at the furrow every minute. Do not dig up the seed. At dawn, collect what the night has worked. If the answer calls for action, take the first visible step that day. Obedience to the light you already have attracts more light. Once the path is clear, walk. Once the purpose is clear, proceed. Close each night with this rubric that seals the file. Show me the wisest answer. Speak it as one handing the helm to the pilot who knows all currents. Add, thank you because it is so and it will be so. Keep your notebook at hand, turn off the lamp and rest in eternal counsel. Upon opening your eyes, do not ask the world, ask the center. Write what you receive. Test it in small matters. You will see that life obedient to its creator speaks continually. Learn its tone, schedule, and method. Remember these truths as you close this chapter. Your sleep is counseling in slow motion. Your subconscious is a fee-free advisor, available each night. The answer arrives with peace, simplicity, and repetition. Your notebook fixes it on paper and in conduct. Faith does not argue, it asks and sleeps. He who delivers with confidence awakens with direction. And when the light touches your face, listen to the word behind you. This is the way, walk in it. Then rise, walk and see, as so many have, how obedience to nocturnal wisdom brings prosperity, harmony, and grace. Chapter 8. Night and the Health of the Body. Night is the great silent pharmacy of life. When you close your eyelids, you do not enter a void. You enter the dispensary of the inner power that knows how to restore, recombine, and renew. Deep sleep is the closed hour in which the invisible potter returns the tissues to the wheel, fatigued, excited systems. It corrects proportions, smooths surfaces, strengthens weaknesses, and returns the piece to its useful form. Haven't you noticed that after a good night's sleep, the same load seems lighter, the same pain more distant, and the same worry less rough? That is no coincidence. It is law. The organism obeys an innate intelligence that works best when the chatter of the superficial mind ceases. Deep sleep is its permission. Understand this principle. During sleep, your subjective mind governs all functions: heart rhythm, secretions, digestion, cellular repair. Physiology calls it homeostasis. I call it divine order. Nature does not force, it restores. Just as the nocturnal tide cleans the beach and leaves the sand ready for the footprints of dawn, your well-lived night cleanses nervous residues in pulses. It recomposes chemical chains and leaves your body ready for the day. But this wisdom, although constant, is plastic. It takes shape according to the mental mold you provide. If you lie down with resentment and fear, you give the blueprint of a dark workshop. If you lie down with peace and direction, you give the blueprint of a clean laboratory. According to your plan, it will be done. This word has medical implications. The tone in which you approach the night is imprinted in the inner pharmacy. Like giving precise instructions to your subconscious to heal while you sleep, using a language it understands: image, sensation, and living word. I offer a healing formula that has helped thousands. Before sleeping, seated comfortably with a free chest, quietly repeat 3 times with calm conviction: every cell in my body sings life and health. This is not poetic decoration. It is a functional command. The cell gives destiny to the instruction. The repetition carries the vibration of harmony, life, and health. Specify the result. Repeat as one would leave a labeled bottle on the pharmacist's counter. Exact, simple, sufficient. Between repetitions, pause briefly to let the word descend into the creative reservoir. Next, practice the visualization of golden light. Close your eyes. Breathe in a 4-4-4 rhythm 3 times. Imagine a warm, soft golden light descending from the top of your head, like the sun of the early morning. Let the light slowly travel across your forehead, eyes, and cheekbones. Feel the relaxation like warm water. Allow it to flow down your throat, softening unspoken words and undoing knots. Cross the chest. Harmonize the heartbeat, open space, embrace the stomach, calm the fire, bathe the liver, pancreas, intestines. Let the light reach the hips, descend through the thighs, knees, calves, to the feet. Do not rush. If a sensitive spot appears, linger there a few extra seconds without forcing or arguing. Simply allow every cell in my body sings life and health to become a warm, ordered sensation. When finished, repeat once more: every cell in my body sings life and health. Sleep. The efficacy of this ritual is twofold. It deactivates the alarm system many keep switched on until dawn and activates the repair program in a climate of faith. I have seen a man with stiff hands, a carpenter, ironically regain the finesse of his fingers. Every night he passed the golden light over his wrists and fingers, repeating the healing phrase 3 times. Within weeks, morning pain had subsided. 2 months later, he was crafting wood with precision. Was it magic? No, it was order. The subjective mind did its work undisturbed, and the body obeyed. I recount the case of a middle-aged woman with stubborn gastritis. She had tried diets and remedies with only temporary relief. In conversation, her nightly habit emerged. She fell asleep ruminating on old grievances. I asked her to replace that mental input for 21 nights with golden light over the epigastrium and, while the light worked, to say, "Every cell in my body sings life and health." We added a brief scene. At dawn, drinking fresh water with pleasure, feeling calm. By the 9th night, the burning had decreased significantly. By the 21st night, her doctor confirmed the change. "I still take care of myself, but I no longer live at war with my stomach," she said. The war ceased because a nocturnal shift occurred. A young amateur singer came to me distressed. His voice cracked for no apparent reason. We discovered he went to bed fearing failure. I taught him the golden light over the larynx and a specific affirmation. My voice is clear, flexible, and confident. 3 repetitions, calm breathing, slow light. In weeks, he sang with pleasure again. Observe the law. He did not fight the symptom. He nourished the instrument with image and word. The subconscious adjusted tensions, coordinated muscles, and restored fluidity. A well-used night became his singing teacher. You may ask, what about long-term cases? I answer with authority. Time does not govern law. Law governs time. If each night you establish the same healthy pattern, even if the body takes time to fully manifest it, you are already on the path. Furthermore, nocturnal guidance can reveal complementary means, a helpful food, a walk, a needed consultation. Do not let the mind dominate medicine. God is the only healer and uses both ideas and instruments. I have seen people recover because after praying before sleep, they remembered upon waking the name of a wise doctor or felt it was time to change a habit. That is the response of the inner counselor. Why does this work? Because the subjective mind governs the vegetative system. It regulates secretions, calibrates impulses, repairs tissues according to the dominant mold. If the mold is fear, it produces alarm chemistry. If the mold is peace, it produces chemistry for rest and repair. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for only you, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Psalm 4:8. Translated into a mental law, I lie down in peace, I activate repair mode. I sleep with trust, suspend interference, and live with confidence. My organism receives the order to restore. Your phrase, every cell, and your golden light are the practical vehicle of this truth. Apply the night ritual in order. Clean the workbench, close the day, offer it to divine wisdom, and breathe in 4-4-4 rhythm and release the shoulders. Repeat 3 times. Every cell in my body sings life and health. Move the golden light from head to feet, pausing where needed. Optional. Add a 60-second mental scene of the desired result. Walking freely, eating with pleasure, speaking clearly, working energetically. Fall asleep in gratitude. No effort, only trust. No struggle, only surrender. Struggle keeps the system alert. Surrender lets it work. How to recognize the response at dawn? Simple signs: real rest, pulse of serenity, localized relief, impulse to sensible action, drinking water, sunlight, adjusting posture, calling someone. Do not underestimate simplicity. The subconscious speaks in clear directives. If discomfort persists, do not change methods nightly like switching healers. Persevere 21 nights. The farmer does not abandon the furrow because the seed did not sprout on the 3rd day. Consistency is medicine. A parable may help. A gardener found a wilted plant at dusk. He did not insult it, scold it, or pester it with questions. He watered it at night, loosened the soil, removed stones, and left it. By morning, the dew had done its work. This is how your ritual works. Water with word and light, loosen with breath, remove the stone of resentment, let the night act. The dew comes by itself. The return of health is a law-governed phenomenon. I have also seen recoveries the world calls surprising, and I call coherent. A man post-surgery could not sleep. His system would not enter repair mode. I taught him to count his golden light. Each exhale guided the light along a path. On reaching 10, he repeated the phrase. The first night he slept in short stretches. By the 4th night, hours were linked. Days later, his healing gained rhythm. The body does not repair without sleep. Sleep does not come with an agitated mind. The mind settles with ritual and faith. Do not argue with pain. Instruct it. You are a signal. Thank you. Now obey divine order and return to your light. The signal loses urgency when it knows the captain has taken command. Do not fear a bad dream, it is residue. The mental hygiene you already know recenters you. Night is longer than a sudden scare. Your faith is stronger than a passing image. Remember, night restores not only muscle and nerve but also spirit. Joy is a tonic manufactured at night when bitterness does not monopolize the machinery. Sleep with gratitude. Give thanks in advance. Thank you because every cell sings life and health. Gratitude, like honey, fixes and preserves. I close with a fraternal exhortation. Be faithful to your ritual. You do not need devices, complicated words, or endless consultations with fear. You need loving discipline. Tonight, before turning off the lamp, clean your workshop, breathe, affirm firmly. Every cell in my body sings life and health. And let the golden light flow like a river of gold through every organ, every fiber, every corner. Sleep in peace. Tomorrow, when the sun touches your window, rise with the awareness that your inner power has worked for you. Feed the day with simplicity. Walk with balance. Share your well-being. Night after night, your body and soul will know the true rhythm. Sow peace, sleep confidently, harvest health. Your word is law for your mind. Your mind is the compass for your body. Your body is the instrument for good. Peace, power, and health accompany you. Chapter 9. Abundance that matures in the darkness. The night is not just a remedy for the nerves, it is an invisible incubator where the provision for the next day is arranged. Just as wheat, once sown, matures silently beneath the earth without the farmer watching impatiently, abundance matures in the silence of sleep when you release worry and place the correct mold in your deep mind. Haven't you noticed that after sleeping with a problem of provision, you wake with a simple idea that resolves it, or with a peace that opens doors? It is no coincidence, it is law. The subjective mind organizes means, people, and timing with precision when you stop interfering with anxiety and hand the request over to its wisdom. According to your seed, it shall be done. Applied nocturnal abundance means that the tone with which you go to bed, scarcity or inner wealth, determines the harvest you will find at dawn. You must understand the mechanism. Your conscious mind determines, I need provision for this account. I want dignified work. I require fair clients. Your subconscious mind handles the how, contacts, opportunities, ideas, coincidences. When you try to impose the how, you paralyze the invisible machinery, like sticking your fingers into a moving gear. The night teaches you to let go. The farmer does not dig up the seed every hour to see if it has rooted. He covers it, blesses it, and withdraws. So must you. At bedtime, present a clear final outcome. Seal it with gratitude and sleep. While you rest, the invisible government aligns circumstances that your reason, however skillful, could not coordinate. The psalmist expressed it with a perfect image for our exercise. You prepare a table before me, my cup overflows. Psalm 23, 5. Practical psychology. The table is your inner screen. The banquet is the feeling of provision fulfilled. The overflowing is the emotion of abundance that releases the flow of wealth. That is why one of the most powerful resources before sleeping is visualizing the served table. Enter your inner chamber and imagine a long, bright table prepared for you. Clean tablecloth, warm bread, ripe fruits, fresh water shining in the glass, simple flowers. Today, notice the gentle clink of cutlery. Smell the grapes and freshly baked bread. Feel the softness of the linen under your hands. That table is your state of inner wealth. You do not calculate prices or debate means. Sit in peace. Your deep mind understands this sensory language better than any argument. To fix the image, use the phrase of secure gratitude, the master key of provision. Thank you, Father, for perfect abundance. Repeat it quietly 3 times, with the calm of someone signing a receipt already paid. Thank you, recognition, Father, inner source, abundance, contentment, perfect, orderly, without loss. This phrase is not ornamentation, it is a decree. Gratitude declares that the good is already on its way through the correct channel, the subjective mind. Upon receiving this order, it activates convergent channels. Allow me to give you a simple, precise nighttime method for provision. 1. Clear the workspace, hand over the day. I entrust this day to divine wisdom. Breathe 4 times, 4, 3. Release shoulders and jaw. Tension closes the cash box. 2. Define the outcome, not the path. My business flows with the right clients and timely payments. Dignified, well-paid work finds me now. My obligations are covered in order and peace. 3. Show the table, 1 minute of mental movie where you already see yourself provided. If it was a debt, see yourself filing the cancelled receipt and breathing in relief. If it was work, see yourself at the right desk greeting with quiet joy. If it was a project, see it completed just right without struggle. 4. Sit with gratitude. Thank you, Father, for perfect abundance. 3 times, then sleep. Do not return to the old image of lack. Do not stir it. Law does not need you to push it during the night. Upon waking, do not rush. Stay silent for a minute and ask, What is the first step of provision today? Sometimes it will be a call, sometimes organizing papers, sometimes visiting an unexpected place. Obey the small. Daily bread comes in slices. Do not demand whole loaves at each sunrise. I offer 3 cases where this law was confirmed. A craftsman was overwhelmed with delayed payments. He slept saying, "It's not enough." I asked him to replace this mantra with the serve table and triple gratitude for 21 nights. On the 3rd morning, he woke with a client's name in mind, called, reconnected, and this client jovially introduced him to 2 buyers seeking exactly his work. "They came by themselves," he said. "No, they came by law." The subjective mind at the helm organized the right people. A widow wrote to our radio program, "I fear the end of the month. I go to bed calculating and wake with the same knot." I taught her to enter the serve table every night, feel the overflowing cup, and recite, "Thank you, Father, for perfect abundance." By the 4th week, a neighbor she barely greeted offered her light sewing work, just what she knew how to do. Income was modest at first, but steady. Peace at bedtime opened the channel. An impulsive young merchant wanted to force sales with hasty promises. He went to sleep planning strategies that the next day he forgot or contradicted. I prescribed no mental struggle, only served table, gratitude phrase, and sleep. On the 5th morning, he remembered a simple phrase for his clients and the sense of speaking less and listening more. He obeyed. Sales increased, complaints decreased. The subconscious had aligned his conduct with abundance. It is worth repeating. Letting go is not indifference, it is operational trust. A sailor releases the rope at the exact moment so the sail catches the wind. Early or late, and the force is lost. In mental terms, ask clearly, see the table, give thanks, sleep. In the morning, work diligently, follow sensible intuitions, and maintain the tone of inner wealth. This attunement produces results that from the outside may look like luck. You already know the name, law. Avoid a common mistake, going to bed counting lakhs. Sow scarcity and you will rise in barren soil. The subconscious reproduces without censorship what you leave at the door of sleep. That is why the state of inner wealth is indispensable as it is felt. Sufficient, unhurried, without comparison, without complaint. A practical sign is spontaneous generosity, a small gesture. Mentally bless someone prospering. Give a coin with joy. Share advice. Give and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. Luke 6:38. Psychologically, the act of giving affirms within you that you are a source, not a dry well. Sleep with that awareness and life will respond in kind. It also helps to establish an evening ritual of visible order. Clean the real table, prepare tomorrow's clothes, tidy the desk. These seemingly minor acts tell your subconscious, the house is ready to receive. Form seals the idea, and the idea is nourished by symbols. Your external table, simple and orderly, reinforces your internal table, abundant and peaceful. You may ask, what if I see nothing upon waking? Keep your ritual. The tide does not respond to each stone, it responds to the moon. Consistency attracts the current. Watch your daytime words. Avoid contradictory disorder. Avoid defeatist phrases that undo what you've sown. Always something is missing, never enough. Things are bad. Your mouth is an extension of the rudder. Curse your ship during the day, and at night it will be harder to feel it advance. Say instead, God's goodness sustains me. My channels are many. My provision is secure. And when you catch yourself complaining, correct it like a pilot straightening the course without drama. Return to the served table because it helps. Make it sensory. See the colors, touch the cloth, smell the bread, hear the gentle murmur. Put your name on the place card, sit, give thanks. Feel the cup filled to the brim, overflow. That sensation, overflow, is crucial. The subconscious recognizes it as a seal of fullness and translates it into gestures of abundance, confident tone, open posture, sober decisions. Nothing drives provision away like a beggar's gesture. Nothing attracts it more than a grateful heir's gesture. A final detail. Some sleep focused on collecting. I propose sleeping focused on serving. How can I serve better tomorrow? What value can I deliver joyfully? Life pays for services rendered. If you sleep thinking only of taking, your mental table shrinks. If you sleep thinking of giving your talent, your table expands. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Matthew 6:33. Translate. Seek first inner order, kingdom and correct conduct, righteousness, and provision will be added. Addition is a beautiful term. It does not force the hand, law brings it. Close each night with your signature of abundance. Thank you, Father, for perfect abundance. Say it 3 times without rush, like finishing setting the table and turning off the lamp, satisfied. Sleep on that inner table. Tomorrow, when light touches your window, you will find that life has arranged its own cutlery, a message, an idea, an opportunity, a key person. Eat your bread with joy, share your good with nobility, and return in the evening to prepare your table with gratitude. Thus, night after night, your provision will mature in the darkness until it becomes visible harvest. Your word is law for your mind. Your gratitude is a magnet for your good. Peace, power, and prosperity accompany you. Chapter 10. Protection and the Night Shield. Night is also a frontier. When the senses withdraw and the objective mind lowers the curtain, the stage is revealed where the suggestions you left at the door of sleep act without censorship. If you are not vigilant, old fears enter disguised as premonitions. If you stay watchful, the forces of peace take camp. Mental law allows no voids. What you do not occupy with diligence is occupied by fear. That is why I state simply and firmly, you can fortify your mind during sleep, not with weapons, but with ideas. Not with shouts, but with conviction. Faith is the wall, truth is the shield. It is not with sword or force, but with my spirit, says Scripture in the language of law. Practical psychology. Your inner climate determines what you suggest to your subconscious and what your emotional body receives while you sleep. We are told, the angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. Psalm 34:7. Do not imagine a whimsical external guardian. Understand angel as a divine idea, as a protective conviction surrounding your consciousness. That encampment is a mental circle of security that you yourself raise with your faith. And the psalmist adds, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. His truth will be your shield and buckler. You shall not fear. Psalm 91. Translate this into the language of law. Dwelling is fixing your attention. Shelter is the atmosphere of peace you cultivate. Truth is the idea you accept as real. You shall not fear. This is the natural effect of a mind sealed by trust. Night fortification begins before turning off the light. If you go to bed conversing about dangers, you will gather alarms. If you go to bed blessing your home and declaring the presence of good, you will sleep under a psychological shelter that repels negative suggestions and orders your dreams. I've seen children with night terrors calm down when the mother, instead of scolding or arguing, would place her hand on their forehead and murmur Psalm 91 as if it were a lullaby. There was no magic, only the precise dosing of an idea. Shield and buckler is his truth. The child's subconscious, soft and receptive like warm wax, received the seal and slept safely under that shadow. Allow me to describe the shield ritual. It is simple, precise, sufficient. Sit on the bed, spine relaxed, shoulders at ease. Breathe 4 in, 4 out, 2 or 3 times as you already know. Then, with eyes closed, imagine a gentle golden light descending from above, enveloping you completely. It is not a strip, but a wall surrounding and covering you like a luminous sphere. You feel it warm, alive, silent. Within it, there is order. Nothing harmful penetrates its exterior. This light does not repel in fear, it dissolves with truth. Hold the image for a few moments and recite mentally, without haste, savoring each word, the verses of Psalm 91 that speak to you most. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High, I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, you shall not fear. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will be safe. Shield and buckler is his truth. At the end, pronounce this affirmation with serene authority. I sleep in peace. My mind is sealed by truth. Nothing can harm or disturb me, for the light of the Most High surrounds me. Then rest. Why does this ritual work? Because the subconscious is literal. It receives image and word. It neither argues nor interprets. If you give it a luminous sphere and a protective psalm, it archives them, and during the night reproduces the corresponding climate. Ordered dreams, deep rest, serene reactions. If instead you go to bed with stories of misfortune, revived frictions, suspicions, and rumors, it archives those, and your sleep fills with useless vigilance. Law is impartial. It produces according to the seed. A traveling merchant told me that in unfamiliar inns he suffered from nighttime startles. He would sleep on guard and wake exhausted. I taught him the shield ritual. The first night he saw his room bathed in light and whispered, "I will not fear terror by night, nor the arrow that flies by day." Psalm 91:5. He slept like he hadn't in months. A week later he said, "I can sleep anywhere as if it were my home," understanding that the home was the mental atmosphere he carried, not the address written on a door. A nurse, returning late, fearful of the path, practiced this fortification. Upon reaching her room, she raised her circle of light and repeated, "The angel encamps and protects me." Something more than rest occurred. Her bearing changed. Upright walk, steady gaze, confident steps, visible fruits of a protected consciousness that discouraged annoyances and attracted respect. Pure psychology. A person who knows they are cared for radiates a silent no to any negative suggester. An 8-year-old boy suffered nightmares. His mother learned to sew before sleep, showing him the light like a shining tent. Together they repeated, "He will cover me with his feathers." 3 nights were enough. On the 4th day he smiled, saying, "Mom, the room has wings." The image had taken root. When the mind accepts a symbol, the symbol becomes power. Here is a mental antiseptic against superstition. Do not attribute power to external influences. Grant it to your faith. Faith is not credulity. It is accepting an idea of good as real. Credulity fears shadows. Faith lights lamps. A fortified mind does not deny that discordant voices exist in the world. It declares that they have no authority in its inner home. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Psalm 91:7. What does this mean? That outside events will not dictate your climate. Your climate depends on what you dwell in. Dwelling is returning each night to the shelter. Guard the entrance. Do not go to bed after recounting dangers or fueling resentments. A pharmacist does not mix serums with impurities. You do not mix your psalm with complaints. The dosage is clear: image of light, recitation in repose, affirmation of peace. Repeat 3 nights in a row without modification. Practice. The proof comes by itself. Stable rest, instructive dreams, awakenings without startle. If a noise intrudes, do not chase it with your heart. Return to the shield. Shield and buckler is his truth. That is enough. You may ask, what if people around me go to bed cursing? Then your ritual is doubly necessary. The wall of light is not stopped by hatred, it is stopped by order. Nothing outside divine order enters your sphere. I have seen homes change their atmosphere when just one person began sleeping under Psalm 91 with conviction. Light harmonized and radiated. Shadows withdrew where a constant lamp shone. If you like, add a blessing for the space. Walk your gaze around the room and say, "This bed is a bed of peace. These walls are shelter. This door is an entrance to good." You are speaking not to the wood, but to your subconscious. The mind associates objects with climates. Just as the smell of medicine recalls healing, words over your room awaken the habit of rest. A notice from the physician of the soul. If your mind insists on replaying fears, do not strike it. Redirect it. Return to the 4 breathing. Whisper softly, "Under the shadow of the Almighty," and watch the light close again like a dome. 2 or 3 repetitions suffice. Perseverance is the best sedative. Also remember the active side of protection. It is not just nothing will happen to me, but I act with wisdom. Faith that turns into recklessness is not faith, it is temptation. The angel encamps, law of order, and you walk straight paths, law of conduct. Sleep confidently, and upon waking, proceed with sobriety. Nighttime security illuminates daytime decisions. I close with a formula many have engraved on their hearts. Before sleeping, in the golden light, see, "He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High abides under the shadow of the Almighty. Shield and buckler is his truth. I do not fear nocturnal terror. The angel of the Lord encamps around me and protects me. I sleep in peace. My mind is sealed by truth." Pronounce it calmly, not as a spell but as a diagnosis of your state. While you speak it, feel that the light is a wall, the wall is peace, and peace is authority. Thus, night after night, your room becomes a sanctuary. your bed an altar of rest, your sleep counsel and strength. Your word is law for your mind. Your faith is the wall of your night. May the light surround you, peace cover you, truth guard you, in that shelter rest. Chapter 11. The tune of the following morning. Morning doesn't begin with dawn, it begins on your pillow the night before. What you plant at twilight germinates at dawn. The first ray of light only reveals what your mind has already arranged. That is why when you open your eyes you don't enter an unknown territory. You step into the harvest of your nocturnal images. You are surprised by coincidences, the doors that open, the lightness with which you touch the ground. It is the law. Your subconscious worked overnight and now delivers the script for the day. Understand this order. An idea planted, a dream imprinted in the morning, synchronizing. The subjective mind, a faithful scribe, takes your last sentence and your last scene. Peace, health, provision, protection. And during the night fixes them as a mold. Upon awakening, people, calls, impressions and paths tend to fit that mold. Many call this luck. I call it synchronicity, a secret agreement between your sowing and your harvest. How to connect, the moment you wake, with what you planted. With a simple and decisive gesture, don't get up without your helm. Stay still for a minute. Feel your body, take one breath at a 4-4-4 rhythm, and recall. Bring to the screen of your mind the nocturnal image you left ready. If you planted health, see yourself walking lightly. If you planted provision, see yourself at a served table. If you planted protection, feel the dome of light. Invent nothing new, gather. The morning confirms what you delivered at night. Now perform your morning reading of the planted phrase. Have it written on simple paper within reach. Read it softly, calmly, and with conviction 3 times. If it was health, every cell in my body sings life and health. If it was abundance, thank you, Father, for perfect abundance. If it was guidance, show me the wisest answer. If it was protection, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High. Do not read it as one repeats out of habit. Read it as one activates a decree. This reading is the door that connects night and day. Then ask, without haste, what is the first step of my script today? Don't ask for the whole map, ask for the first stretch. Sometimes it will be a call, sometimes silence, sometimes a small order on your desk. Obey. Early obedience multiplies synchronicity. The psalmist sets the tone, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Psalm 118:24. Spiritual psychology. This day has order. Your voice activates it. To start the day with complaint is to break the thread woven at night. To start it with gratitude is to knot the thread and pull the right strands. A consultation case proves this. A merchant burdened with accounts learned to sleep with the table set and triple gratitude. Upon waking, before touching the ground, he read his phrase and visualized his table. On the 3rd day, a man came with clarity. He called. That client he hadn't seen for years connected him with 2 buyers. It seemed casual, he told me. Nothing casual. The nightly script was being enacted by the day's cast. Another woman teacher planted a scene of harmony with her class. In the morning, she recalled her serene gaze and read her phrase, peace, order, and love govern my mind and affairs. That day, without prior plan, she changed the seats of 2 restless students and opened the class with specific praise. The day flowed. I never thought of moving them, she said. The timely idea was part of synchronicity. Night prepares, morning disposes, and if you wake in fog, do not declare defeat. Declare direction. Stay 1 more minute. Return to your breathing. Repeat your phrase softly. Don't fight your mood. Feed it. Medicine works by dose, not by shouting. Pharmacies know the right remedy taken at the right time wins. Your time is now. Your dose is brief and exact. It is useful to establish a 90-second linking ritual. Stillness, 30 seconds. Remain immobile, 1-4-4-4 breath. Reminder, 30 seconds. See the nocturnal image as it was planted. Reading, 30 seconds, and repeat the planted phrase 3 times quietly. With this, stand up. Don't argue with the day before connecting with your dawn. From there, mind your first words, the first hour. Open or close doors. Avoid toxic phrases. How tiring? How uphill? Everything is hard. Your mouth is part of the helm. Replace them with, today I walk in divine order. My guidance is clear. Peace precedes me. Morning synchronicity appears in 3 fields. Opportunities, calls, encounters, doors. Ideas, the simple spark that resolves. States, a base mood of peace. If sown well, you will see signs in all three. Do not force. Recognize. Recognition feeds the law. His mercies are new every morning. Lamentations 3:23. Operative translation: good renews itself if you acknowledge it. You may say, I sowed, but the day swept me away. Then apply this mid-course correction. Stop for 2 minutes mid-morning. Recall your image, even a flash, and repeat your phrase once. It is like putting the needle back in the correct groove. The day's music recovers its melody. A young printer sowed order and fair collection at night. In the morning, recalling his vision, he sent a cordial message to 3 delinquent clients with a small, added-value gesture. It was not his habit. That day, all 3 responded. It's never been this easy, he said. The ease was no accident. It was the fit between the nightly mold and his morning action. Do not neglect your body. Your walk, posture, and gaze must align with what you planted. If you planted confidence and walk hunched, you contradict the script. Straighten the body's helm, and the mind follows. An open step, a free shoulder, a clean face are calling cards of the nocturnal pattern. Also keep a visible symbol of what you planted. A word in your pocket, a phrase on your desk, a small drawing of your image, the table, the light, the cleared check, the open door. It is not a fetish. It is a reminder sight returns effortlessly to the essential. When attention wanders, the symbol brings it back. Some ask for grand signs. The law, however, loves the small. Synchronicity often begins in tiny things. The seat that lets you hear a useful conversation, the book that opens at the instructive paragraph, the pause that avoids a stumble. Honor the small and the large will seek you. Live by this maxim. First the script, then the day. If you go out without a script, the world imposes its own. If you go out with a plan, the world cooperates with your seed. The light of the righteous shines brightly. Proverbs 13:9. Light is your image. Joy is the synchronicity that confirms it. A hygiene note. Do not turn the morning into a market of new requests. Planting is done at night. Morning is for harvesting, obeying, and giving thanks. If at dawn you launch a new desire, your subconscious finds no continuity. Give it continuity and it will give you consistency. I conclude with a simple marching order for your mornings. Upon waking, brief stillness, recall image, read planted phrase. Stand. Take the first practical step inspired by memory. Call, order, write. First language, 3 simple affirmations to sustain the script. Mid-morning, 20-second micro-reminder if you drift. At noon, gratitude for visible synchronicities, at least 1. At day's end, pass the baton to the night, review, correct, plant. The circuit completes night sowing, morning link, daytime harvest, new sowing. This is the real rhythm. Do not tire of the simple. The subconscious understands simplicity. Providence honors it. Remember these truths and repeat them in your heart. What you think before sleeping appears in the morning as opportunity, idea, or mood. Morning does not create, it reveals. Your best way to honor synchronicity is to start the day connected to what you planted. Read your phrase, recall your image, take the first obedient step. Do it today, do it tomorrow, do it always. Your word is law for your mind is compass for your day is field for your sowing. Peace, clarity, and success accompany you. Chapter 12. The Unbreakable Ritual. The mind learns through rhythm, not by bursts. Lightning dazzles, but it is the daily sun that ripens the harvest. The same applies to the method of the night. An enthusiastic practice of 2 or 3 days stirs the spirit. A faithful ritual of weeks and months transforms it. I do not ask you for feats. I ask you for consistency. Consistency is faith in action. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap if we do not give up. Galatians 6:9. This is not an abstract exhortation. It is the precise formulation of the cumulative power of your nightly sowing. It is important to fix the law. Each night you deposit a seed in the creative reservoir. The first time the soil accepts it. Within a few days the root takes hold. Through the passages the plant emerges. After weeks it grows leaves. After months it bears fruit. Many abandon the process when there are only leaves. They declare, I see no fruit, and pull up the stem in impatience. The wise person understands that life moves in cycles. A pharmacist prescribes doses at fixed hours. A farmer waters with measure. A captain adjusts the helm every mile. Your nightly ritual is dose, watering, and helm. How to turn practice into habit. A habit is not a mental trick, it is an imprint in your neural circuits and imagination. That imprint is marked with 3 elements: fixed time, fixed sequence, and expected result. Fixed time. Choose a reasonable hour for yourself and respect it. Fixed sequence. Do not improvise each night. Follow the learned order. Expected result. Do not go to bed to see what happens. Deliver a script. This is how you teach your mind to obey joyfully. Here is the unbreakable ritual in 6 steps, already familiar, now consolidated. Surrender of the day. Sit, relax your back and say 3 times, I surrender this day to divine wisdom. Breathing 5 cycles to calm yourself. A single seed. Choose one theme: health, guidance, provision, peace, or protection. Do not mix. Brief movie, 60 seconds. Clean final scene, no tension. Secure phrase, 5 phrases, 3 repetitions of the one corresponding to your seed. Show me each cell. Thank you, Father, or Psalm 91. Seal. Golden light surrounding you, confident rest. In the morning, link with 90 seconds, stillness, memory of the image, quiet reading of the planted phrase. The day becomes tied to the night. Warning against negligence. Negligence is the leak that rots the beam. Do not think nothing happens if you skip a practice. It does. You yield the helm. Do not blame yourself. Blame paralyzes. Correct. If you fail one night, return the next day with double determination, not double anxiety. The law of spiritual accumulation does not punish. It waits and welcomes you back when you return to order. Also avoid the error of the spiritual saper. One day a technique, the next day another, then another. Medicine is not changed every hour. Sustain your sequence. When you grow tired of simplicity, remember, simplicity is what the subconscious mind understands. Met Fox insisted on persevering simplicity. Ernest Holmes emphasized repetition with conviction. Both pointed to the same path. Less clutter, more law. 21-night program to consolidate the habit. 21 nights are enough to carve the groove of the ritual. Divide your program into 3 segments of 7 nights each. Nights 1-7, foundation. Purpose, organize and seal. Focus on workshop cleaning, surrender, breathing, and a single seed. Avoid ambition. Record in your journal, date, chosen seed, phrase used, 3 words describing your emotional state at closing. Nights 8-14, deepening. Purpose, add sensation and symbol. Intensify the brief movie with sensory details and place a visible reminder, a word or simple drawing, by your bed. In your journal, add dreams or impressions upon waking. First step executed. Observed synchronicities. Nights 15-21, integration. Purpose, connect night, morning and day. Maintain the morning link and add a micro reminder midday. 20 seconds of the image and a repetition of the phrase. In your journal, note changes in baseline mood. Decisions made with ease, partial results. At the end of 21 nights, review your journal. You will see a line. More peace at bedtime, more clarity upon waking, more pleasant coincidences. This line is not an illusion. It is the graph of your law in operation. The journal as ally. The journal turns the subjective into evidence. Write briefly. Do not produce novels. Use this template. Date time, vertical bar, seed, health, guidance, provision, peace, protection, vertical bar. Brief movie, vertical bar. 3 key words, vertical bar. Phrase, vertical bar. State at sleep, 3 words, vertical bar. Awakening, impression, dream, first idea, first step executed. Vertical bar signs opportunity, idea, mood, result, even small. Each week underline 3 advances. Underlining fixes in your mind that it works. What you recognize grows, the cumulative power, spiritual compound interest. The bank grants compound interest to the disciplined depositor. Your subconscious grants compound interest to the one who sows each night. Week 1, rest. Week 2, ideas. Week 3, opportunities. Week 4, new habits. After 6 months, you do not recognize yourself. You react calmly where you once burned. You choose clearly where you once hesitated. You prosper where you once lacked. I do not exaggerate. 9 out of 10 who sustain this method for months describe benefits they call miracles, and I call coherences. Brief examples. A lawyer of harsh character chose to sow temperance for 21 nights. Movie, listening without interrupting, closing with the phrase, peace, order, and love govern my mind and affairs. After a month, his secretary remarked, "Clients leave grateful. He did not change his craft, he changed his climate. A seamstress with an unstable workshop sewed provision. Table set, thank you, Father, for perfect abundance." Within 8 weeks, her schedule filled by recommendation. A student with insomnia sewed protection, Psalm 91 and Dome of Light. Within 2 weeks, he slept through the night. The common denominator was not luck, but regularity. Obstacles and corrections, boredom. The old thought protests the same thing again. Respond, yes, because it works. Change only the sensory detail of the movie. The central mold remains. Impatience, peak at the groove. Correct with Galatians 6, 9, and so again. Impatience uproots, patience deepens wisdom. Distraction, too many topics. Return to 1 for 7 nights. Concentration is fertilizer. Guilt for failing, do not feed it. Resume like a captain returning to course after drift. 1 degree of correction today prevents 100 grams of deviation tomorrow. Continuity after 21 nights. Do not graduate from the ritual, live it. Maintain your time, sequence, and journal. Each month, dedicate 7 nights to one theme to consolidate that cycle. The rest of the month, rotate freely among your 5 main seeds. Each quarter, give yourself 3 nights of pure gratitude. No asking. Only thank you, Father. Gratitude lubricates the machinery. Remember to add service to your sowing. Those who sleep thinking only of taking wake small. Those who sleep thinking of giving their gift wake vast. Life pays for services rendered. Your night organizes your service. Final word. The simple vow. Today, make with yourself a simple vow. For 21 nights at a fixed hour, I will complete my nightly ritual as written. If I fail, I resume without drama. I will record my steps and my fruits. It is a vow of mental health, not a heavy oath, a clear decision. Whoever is faithful in little is also faithful in much. Luke 16:10. Be faithful in 5 nightly minutes. Life will entrust you with whole days of harvest. Practical itinerary. Night, surrender, breathing, 1 seed, 60-second movie, secure phrase repeated 3 times, golden light. Morning, brief stillness, image memory, phrase reading. First step, journal, minimal notes, weekly review. 21 nights, 3 segments of 7, evaluation and continuity. Remember these truths. Negligence steals the helm. Consistency returns it. Nightly sowing has compound interest. Each repeated act deepens the groove. The night is fleeting emotion. It is applied rhythm. Make your night a sanctuary and your bed an altar of order. Sow today, sow tomorrow, sow always. Your word is law for your mind. Your mind is the helm for your life. Your life is God's field to bear fruit. Peace, power, and perseverance accompany you.